Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you? Hi.
Hi, it's so nice to meet you. I've never had a chance to talk with you before. I've talked with Tosca so many times. It's always good to see her, but to see you both together, this is amazing.
Thank you.
This has been, I just had the loveliest chat with Robert and Olivia, who were just singing your praises. So I'm sure your ears must be ringing.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, they had, I mean, it's always fun talking with, with Passionflix actors because they just love the experience and being able they were from the announcement of this project to being cast and being able to work so closely with the source material, which is credit to you, Tosca, and then having you, JR, on set, and they said Olivia said that she'd like you to be her hype person
Oh,
in life. She said, I just want her to follow me around in life and just hype everything I do. So that says a lot.
yeah. Thank you. It was super fun to make, and the brothers, the chemistry between all of the brothers and then also Olivia Beth was just incredible. I couldn't have asked for anything better than that.
And that's such an intrinsic part of the book, in that the brothers all get along and there's such a bonding there, and then they embrace Beth as queen. And I think that that was one of the things that I learned about from Tosca about casting and how to really see an actor's performance from their audition tape. She taught me a lot. And I think that, like, we picked the perfect dream team to do this
Yeah,
project.
absolutely.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. And that was I have casting in big letters in my notes because I have so many questions. But since we started there, let's jump into that because I know that casting is not an easy thing. But with a project of this scope, you're not just casting a season of a series. You're not just casting a movie. You're casting kind of a whole franchise at the same time, and you have to think about not just this installment, this book. You're thinking about the next book. You're thinking about like you have to think about the bigger picture. So that does make it a little more challenging, right?
And also, it does make it challenging, and also it makes it a little scary to actors as well because they have to commit to 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing something. We're doing 11 seasons right now, maybe 22.
I will do as many seasons as possible with this woman.
But it is one of those things where you're like, okay, well, for 11 seasons, it could take up to 15 years to make 11 seasons. And so we need all the actors to be willing to join us for 15 years. And that's a good portion of someone's life. Now, true enough, we
Mm-hmm.
don't film all the time, and it's 3 months out of their year every year for 15 years. And so it was very important that we found the right people, that they all got along. And right now, I mean, they're just in their own free time in their own cities, getting together on holidays and on birthdays and celebrating together. And that's just, I couldn't ask for a better cast than the ones that we have for the Black Dagger Brotherhood.
Agreed.
Now, with that said, one of the questions that I had was, like I remember when you announced that you were adapting Black Dagger Brotherhood, and I had an inkling, shall we say, that it was coming because a little bird may have whispered it in my ear at some point in the past and said, "Hey, you should read this book just because." So that was kind of that was my introduction to it, which in JR I'd never been exposed to this world until Passionflix picked it up, and I thought, wow, this to me seems like a really great. It seems like the perfect fit. But like you say, it's a huge commitment, Tosca, because it is such a huge IP. I mean, this isn't just one or two books. This isn't four books. This isn't, most series that you've worked with have been 4 or 5 books. Gabriel, four,
Three.
three,
Three,
well,
four. Yeah,
three
four.
books, but 4 books, adapted into 9 movies. And then the Driven series is, like there's different ways of doing this, but this is not that. This is like that times 10 times 20, like this is so
Yeah.
much bigger. So how did you know that this was the IP that you wanted to dive into, especially to bring paranormal into Passionflix, which it's kind of new? and exciting.
Oh, I love paranormal and romantasy, and that world is like, it's definitely my jam. I was a big fan of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Twilight, all those. That's basically the world that I live in. But the Black Dagger Brotherhood has actually been on my wish list since we started Passionflix. And so when I actually got the opportunity to speak with J.R. Ward 3 years ago, I was really quite amazed that, one of my vision board titles was within grasp, I guess. And then she said yes.
And also, I had at that point, for about a year before we started talking, I had started to notice and hear about Passionflix from other authors and sort of learn more about it. And I remember very distinctly talking to my agents and being like, I think that could be a really great home for us. And it has been. Yeah. It is.
What were the elements, just to touch on that, JR, what were some of the elements that appealed to you as an author to work with a team like Passionflix to bring your stories to life?
Well, after putting 20 years of my life into 42 books, and it's an ongoing series. So one of the things that's really important to me as the author, I had done dances with various industry players before about bringing it to the screen, but it has such a passionate fan base. And the most important thing to that fan base, especially because they'll be reading the front list as I continue writing, is that the books are not just the launching pad for the series, but are the series. Like, what things look like, what people dress like, what the vibe is. And that's what I'd heard about Passionflix and Tosca, is that they really use the author and the books as the true north for whatever is produced visually. And so that was like super important to me, because I don't want to disrespect my fans by going to a place that won't give them what they're expecting and what they hope to see. And I think that Tosca and Passionflix, the cast, the crew, everyone there, the staff, they have given me the very experience that I had hoped to have. And how lucky is that? Not just in business, but in life.
Well, you two are a dream team, I have to say. The Tosca Talk episode was fantastic. You could do a whole series of that. In fact, I was just telling Olivia and Robert that we need instead of, in addition to a blooper reel, we really just need to have a whole series of JR reacting to everything, like the director's cut.
Lest anyone think that those character reveals were staged, especially Robert's. That is legitimately because it was so breathtaking. The care and the choice and the attention to detail about everything, from the way they looked to what they were dressing to the way they presented themselves. It was so spot on that it was jarring, as the writer.
Yeah, he really embodied that character. He was just so great. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I've seen the first episode, and one of the things that jumped out to me, in addition to the casting, in addition to the to the characters looking the parts, I was struck by, this isn't, I used the example with, when I was talking with Olivia about it, this isn't filming a series in Los Angeles. This isn't filming a series, or a moment in a series that's set in Florence. We've seen you do that. We've seen you go to these places and bring these places that are important to the books.
And I brought you to New York, but not New York City.
Fictional Caldwell.
40 minutes north of New York City, the exotic locale of Caldwell, New York.
But one of the things that's so striking about this is that you have to build a world. This isn't just a location. This is a world that you have to build, because this is an ongoing thing. So this isn't, it's not just, going to Griffith Park to film in Griffith Park. It's the story that has been built. That's a massive undertaking. And I know that, Passionflix has amazing set designers and production teams and everything, but this is bigger than many of the projects that you've undertaken so far.
It absolutely, it is bigger than anything that we've done before, and exciting. Passionflix continues to grow, and for each project that we do, we want to put more and more into it. And as more and more people subscribe to Passionflix and support us, the more we're able to do and build and make these bigger worlds. Season 2, I don't know if you've read, the next book, but it's definitely a different world, and I've got to Really figure out a lot of dragon stuff. But but yeah, and it was so important for us to actually take all of the descriptions that are in the books and bring them to life as much as we possibly could. So it was very important that everybody on the crew actually read the book, pay attention to how the scenes are described, so that we can recreate that for the fan, because people who read these books have this vision in their mind, as do I. As a fan of the books, I have this vision in my mind, so I need to try and recreate it exactly as it's written. Otherwise, it's not the books.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Now, JR, does this experience, I talked to Brittany Cherry about this at the Air He Breathes premiere, and I said, now that you've been through this process, does it change how you approach writing?
No.
Now that you've gone through this, now that you've seen it come to life, does it?
No, and I don't. The writing process for me is just it exists outside of all external forces. I see pictures in my head, I record them. Nothing changes that. And no disrespect to Tosca and the amazing job that they've done. No, that is a very separate and very distinct creative space. It is what it is. But I will tell you that what Passionflix did change is what I hadn't really understood the difference between what you can do in a book and what you can do on screen. Okay. In terms of how you bring readers in, how do you make sure that they're feeling the emotions? And Tosca taught me so much. I mean, after having consumed so many visual hours and hours and hours of movies and TVs and commercials and everything that we see, getting to see behind the scenes and learn how it's done and learn what are the levers that she pulls. It's very different from writing. And people came up to me and are like, oh, are you writing the scripts? I was like, absolutely not, because that is such a distinct endeavor. So I've learned a lot from her about the kind of media I consume, and that was fascinating. But the writing is just the way the writing is.
I love that because that actually makes perfect sense. And but I love that you both learned, from each other. And like,
I didn't teach her anything other than I got a potty mouth that needs to be taken out in small. But I learned a lot. But I learned a lot from her, and she's a very patient teacher. And so I look forward to season 2 being even more efficient for my role in it.
Thanks. Don't forget to tell everybody to watch on June 5th when we premiere on Passionflix. And Passionflix, you can subscribe to Passionflix and download and stream anywhere. Yay!
I love it. Well, thank you both so much. This has been so much fun. And honestly, congratulations. I mean, we've been working together, Tosca, for years, and to think of where we've been in pandemics and strikes and things, it's been so much. And to see this come true, knowing how long you've been working on it, it's just amazing to see.
Thank you.
So congratulations to both of you.
Thank you. So good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.